Okay, so let us get started. So far, AWS networking alli, physical network, AWS has 3 layers, another node be right? It has 3 layers, and one of the main items in layer number 2 is something that we are discussing, right? So namige nam AWS networking stack alli, whatever you see here, we have 3 layers. We understood about global infrastructure. ಹಾಗೆ ನಾವು ಫೌಂಡೇಶನ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. Then we looked at, we had to look at platform services. So first thing is where we are talking about networking. Networking ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವ ತರ OSI ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಲೇಯರ್ಸ್ ಏನೇನ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಇನ್ ಡೆಪ್ತ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ ನಾವು, ರೈಟ್? ದೆನ್ ಒನ್ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಯಾವ ತರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನಾವು ವಿಜುವಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಆ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ನ ವಿಜುವಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ we basically looked at how the same network looks in AWS, right? When you convert it into software terminology. Then yesterday we started looking at the AWS networking blueprint or the architecture, right? So give me a minute here. Let me go back to the drawing we were doing yesterday. So that way it will be helpful for us to. Okay. So there was screen can't. So nodi nenne we discussed till what is a region VPC atara create agutte, availability zone we already saw, public subnet alli routing table yatara barutte, ee subnets yatara barutte, NAT gateway enik beku annodonna AWS alli namondu account irutte. ಆ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮ VPC ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಟು ದಟ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಟು ಅವೈಲಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಝೋನ್, ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಅಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಅವೈಲಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಝೋನ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಅವೈಲಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಝೋನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸಬ್ನೆಟ್. ನಾನು ಬಿಗ್ಗರ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ನ ಸ್ಮಾಲರ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾನು ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಡೌನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸ್ಟಫ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಸಬ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್. ಸಬ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 2 ತರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್. ದಿ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಟು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಆಲ್ public or external devices outside of the network and to make sure we maintain all the internal devices inside the private subnet. So ee tara subnet create madadmele aa subnet alli ನಾವು basically we will go ahead and deploy some of the AWS services. So EC2, ELB, RDS, Redshift, Elastic Cache and all of this, right? So ee tara ನಾವು ಈ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ನ ವಿಜುವಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ we looked at components like EC2. EC2 is nothing but a cloud computer. So a cloud computers na deploy ಮಾಡಿ ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಲಿ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಶನ್ ಸೆಟಪ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಡಿಫಾಲ್ಟ್ ರೌಟಿಂಗ್ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಡಿಫಾಲ್ಟ್ ರೌಟಿಂಗ್ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಇಂದ ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟಾಕ್ ಟು ಎನಿ ಅದರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗ್ ಡಿವೈಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ VPC. ಬಟ್ ನಮಗೆ ವೆರಿ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ ಟು VPC ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಶನ್ ಸೆಟಪ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ we did set up an internet gateway, and through that we were able to communicate to internet. And we looked at how we can segregate this main routing table with a routing table in which we can maintain route very specific to public subnet, where we opened a route for internet gateway. ಈಗ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಸಬ್ನೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋ ಡಿವೈಸಸ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನೆಟ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಲಿ we use the NAT gateway. Right, we use the NAT gateway, and using this NAT gateway will help us communicate to the external world anta we visualized yesterday, right? So a NAT gateway will basically translate your private IP address into a public IP address, because on the internet you will be recognized through the public IP address. Clear so far?
Yes.
Okay. So Ida, let us look at some other elements today. Looking at other elements also, we will cover some basics about IP addressing. Okay, IP addressing. Yesterday while doing the class, some of you mentioned that IP addressing is a topic that you wish to learn because that is something new for you. Alva. So first, let us look at the extension of this blueprint. Okay. ಸೊ ಈ ಬ್ಲೂ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸೋ ಫಾರ್ ನಾವು NAT ವರೆಗೂ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ರೈಟ್? So now let us look at some additional components. When I say additional components, so okay, VPC and everything is done, route tables, right? So the next component is nodi namige internet gateway and NAT na navu yathara discuss madidvi. Iga say for example, okay, let me get a picture representation here, give me a minute. Okay, ನೋಡಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಆನ್ ಪ್ರೆಮ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ just give a thought about it. You are one company, you are already working in one on prem infrastructure. Okay, ನಿಮಗೆ ಈ ಆನ್ ಪ್ರೆಮ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನೀವು AWS ಗೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, okay, so you will have something like a network. Okay, so basically assume you have something like an on-prem network, okay, which is a different network altogether. Iga ee on-prem network na neevu if you have to set the communication, right, with your AWS account. This on-prem network can be a physical network, it can be one of the networks in your office, right? It can be one of the networks in your office, or you are a bank or somebody, you have a network, basically you want to set up the communication there. Anta requirement iddalli neeven ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, you will create in AWS something called a VPN gateway. Okay, VPN is nothing but a virtual private network. Okay, so this is your internet gateway. Then you will create something called VPN gateway. ನೋಡಿ ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು VPN gateway na you will basically connect. ಯಾವ ತರ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, you will basically connect this to, the connection comes from your VPC. So basically this guy, I'll expand this a bit. Okay. Okay. Nodi illi you will have something called a VPN network. This VPN network will basically interface with your VPC. Okay. So this is your VPN gateway. Virtual private network will basically set up a virtual tunnel. Okay, two types irutte. One for your communication purposes, this will connect here. Clear? So this is called, one mechanism of connecting is called direct connect in networking terms. Idanna direct connect anta karitivi. Clear guys? Idenike ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, see ಈಗ the transition, this line has to be secured, this line has to be encrypted. ಈ AWS account ಇಂದ ಈ premises ಗೆ communication setup ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ we have to make sure that our communication is secure. So that is where we create a tunnel. Okay, that is where we create a tunnel, which is a logical tunnel between these two endpoints. Okay, ಈ tunnel ನೆ ನಾವು VPN ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Clear guys? This is called your direct connect, VPN connection, virtual private network. Okay, idralli you have something called, okay, so internet gateway. Okay, so basically internet gateway, we'll put it here. Okay, so this is your internet gateway, right? This internet gateway is interfacing with your VPC, and it is helping you connect to the internet. That is what we have seen so far. Clear idea concept ige ellargunu?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is where your internet gateway is coming. So now that you know internet gateway ಏನಕ್ಕೆ help ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, and now that you know why you're using specific connection, for internet and you have direct connection. ಈ VPN gateway ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ mainly ಇದು direct physical connection. I mean, this is a private connection. 110 100 Gbps ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ತರ private connection setup ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ you have to work with your ISP. This is very expensive also. Okay, but now ನನಗೆ ಇದು ಅಫೋರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, ನಾನು ತುಂಬಾ ಸಣ್ಣ ಕಂಪ್ನಿ, ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ನನಗೆ ಈ ತರ AWS ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಇಂದ ನಾನು ಆನ್ ಪ್ರೆಮಿಗೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ you can also take the route of internet. You can go from here to here, and from here you can connect to this guy.
Akram,
Heli.
Here you skipping the direct connect just because of the increases speed and also cost wise.
Cost is a consideration, right? Cost is a consideration, and also namige as a company I cannot afford speed. See, speed, I mean, it does not guarantee speed in true terms. Okay, speed one factor alla, but what it does is it will basically help you set up this connectivity between the endpoints, right? Without you getting into a private connection. See, private connection is expensive. When you talk to your ISP, they will charge you, so much. ನಾವಿವಾಗ 38 ಜನ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಈ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ನಾನು ಯಾರಿಗಾದ್ರೂ ಈ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಕಂಪಿಟೇಟರ್, some misuse can happen here, correct? ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಲಿಂಕ್ it is not specific to one user, ಅಲ್ವಾ? Anybody who has access to the link can get to this class, correct?
Yes.
ನಾನು ಅವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, I have to control this ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ I will say, guys, I will give token to each person. The token is your application. Private ಆಗಿ ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನ ರನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ I have to host it somewhere here. This will become MicroDegree network. Okay, so first ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ from here you have to come through this tunnel. This is where you will be authenticated, and you'll come to this gateway, you'll enter here. That is how your companies work. Exactly. Your companies would have basically hosted everything inside one network, and they are making sure that you are an authorized user coming through a secured connection, and whatever transactions you do from here to here, it is all encrypted and encapsulated, and nobody can gain access to this tunnel. Clear?
Yeah.
ಈ ತರ ಸೆಟಪ್ ನಾನ್ ರನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ, again, this is going to be expensive compared to this guy. So as a company, it's my decision if I have to use this or this guy. Clear, guys?
So ಈ VPN ಇಲ್ಲಿಗಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆನೆ ಈ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸಬ್ನೆಟ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲೇನೆ ಆಗವಾಗ್ಲೇನೆ VPN ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. If I'm right.
Which VPN?
ಈಗ ನಾವು VPN ಗೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗೇನೆ ನಾವು ಈ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸಬ್ನೆಟ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದು. See, from here, if you have to get to the network, you have to pass through this channel like this.
That's yeah, perfect.
This is the route. Okay. So ಈಗ ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ದೆ ಈ ಸಬ್ನೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಬರೀ ಈ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ನ ರನ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ. ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಅದರ್ AWS has more than 200 ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಅಂತಾನು ಹೇಳ್ದೆ ನಾನು, right? So assume now there are other services, right? There are other services, and those other services should actually interact with this specific VPC or my network. So for example, illi nodi, I have something like databases, right? I have something like these database services. So let us expand this further. Okay, ನನಗೆ VPC ಇಂದ ಹೊರಗಡೆ there are services which are not part of VPC. Database ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು, storage ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು, right? Then if I look at some other services, there are services, this is used for big data, right? There's CloudWatch alarms anta. There are multiple services which are not part. Like ಹೇಳ್ದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, VPC ಅಲ್ಲಿ you can only do few of the services. Okay, ಸೊ ಈ ತರ ಬೇರೆ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಈಗ ನನಗೆ ಈ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಯೂಸ್ ಇಸ್ I use something called VPC endpoint. Okay. Let me see. There is something called endpoint. Endpoint andre basically it is a mechanism through which they can help you connect. Those endpoints are like APIs, right? They will have a connectivity address. Getting that address, probably you can get to the other services. So iga S3 andre S3 ಗೆ ಒಂದು endpoint ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Endpoint is nothing but the address, right? If you have the endpoint and if you are authorized to access using the address, and say for example now this is all within my territory. If I go to another area, ಆ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ basically there is something like a swimming pool. There is no swimming pool in my network here. There is a swimming pool in an area next to me which has a sports complex, right? So ನಾನು ಆ ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನನಗೆ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕು, ಆ ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಬೇಕು. ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಬೇಕಾದ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದಾಗ I'll go to that specific location. When I go to that location, how can I access the swimming pool? I should be authorized. Maybe they'll give you a scanner, some barcode where you can scan and it will say, oh, authorized user, you can get in. So there is something called endpoint, which is the address to that specific service. And there is something called a set of authorization credentials, API key anta. We will see, right? When we do practicals around these services, you'll understand that, right? So this is called VPC endpoint. Okay. ನೋಡಿ ಈಗ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನಾನು, I am here, this guy, server E. I have to talk to this storage S3. Okay. How can I talk? Can I directly do this? No, right? Because these are two different networks altogether. I really cannot get from this. ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ನಂಗೆ route ಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ? Mainly ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ I need a route, correct? VPC. How can we connect? So one possible route is I can go from here. I can take this route. This route was built to go to gateway internet. Correct? Internet ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಇಂಟರ್ನೆಟ್ ಇಂದ ನಾನು ಒಂದು route ತಗೊಂಡು I can probably come to one of these services.
ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಫಿಸಿಕಲಿ ವಿ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಆ ತರನ ಸರ್? ಒಂದ್ PC ಲಿ ನಾವು ಒಂದ್ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀವಲ್ಲ.
ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ, ರೈಟ್. ನೋಡಿ ರೌಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಯ್ತು ನಂದು ಇವಾಗ. ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಐ ಕೇಮ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ದ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮಿನಾಲಜಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ರೌಟ್, ರೈಟ್? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಇಂಟರ್ನೆಟ್, ಅಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ hair pinning. Okay, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ it looks like a hairpin, like a curve, right? You are exiting one service, you are entering other service, right? So this terminology, hair pinning, was a pain point. Okay, this you basically you did this, right? You started from here and you went to some point and you came to this point, correct? That is what you did here, if you see. Yes. Alva, how can we avoid this route, this hair pinning, right? So there is a concept called VPC endpoint. ಇದನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಈ ಎಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆದಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ any services that are outside the VPC, how will it happen? I will come directly from E. I will talk to this guy. Okay, I will take this route. Clear guys?
Yes.
ನೋಡಿ ಇವಾಗ VPC endpoint ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಏನಾಯ್ತು? I am making sure that my VPC is talking to other AWS services within the same AWS region. I'm not exiting AWS network. Clear? Exactly. If you see AWS services, right? So look at this. This is maybe some company has posted this. Yeah, this is how actually storage resides away from your VPC. Okay. Actually, this machine will have a default storage called elastic block storage. We will discuss this while we do this stuff. But all that I was trying to do is I was trying to get to one image where this is a good image actually. ನೋಡಿ AWS ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ more than 200 services offer ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ. And if you see, this is a good representation of those services. Okay. Application services alli you will have all of these services. Database alli you have these. There are some libraries you can use. Storage is here, S3, EBS, the different types of storages. Okay. Networking alli, so far this is what we're discussing, right? We, virtual private gateway, we discussed about VPC, right? We will discuss about some of these things. Internet gateway we discussed, right? These are all the services offered from AWS in relation to your services that you can procure from them. Clear guys? So now let us go back to the next thing. Okay. ಈಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಇದು ಒಂದು ರೀಜನ್, we discussed all of these things, correct? So assume I have another region. Okay, I have another region that is somewhere here. Okay, I have another region that is here. Okay, in this region I have another VPC. Okay, ಈಗ I have one EC2, for example. I'm just using it as an illustration here. illide. Okay, so now nanige illinda I'll have to talk to this guy, right? Again, the same terminologies and the logic, right? I can talk to, from here I can talk to anybody here. For any other service, we already saw that we need an endpoint, but how can I talk to another region altogether? ಈಗ ಇದು ನಿಮ್ one area ಇಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏರಿಯಾಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗೋ ತರ ಸ್ಕೋಪ್, right? So to do this, we use something called VPC peering. Okay, so we use something called VPC peering. This is how you will be able to connect to different VPCs. ಈಗ ಈ region, this is all under AWS only, correct? Because region is part of AWS. So if you have multiple regions, if you are a company spread globally in multiple regions, or for some purposes you have created account and you are operating in different regions and you have different VPCs, and if there is a need for you to connect, then there is something called AWS Global Network. Okay, AWS Global Network help in the basically you will connect all of this, which means all the interconnection between various VPCs, various networks and everything is basically catering through this global network. Clear guys?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, so ega see this is okay. Okay, so ನೋಡಿ ಇನ್ನು ಎರಡು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ let us
zone and region.
Region is a collection of availability zones. Availability zone is a collection of data centers. Correct?
Yes.
ಒಂದು ಮುಂಬೈ ಅಂದಾಗ ಮುಂಬೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ 3 ಅವೈಲಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಝೋನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. AP South 1, AP South 2, AP South 3. ಪ್ರತಿ ಅವೈಲಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಝೋನ್ ನಲ್ಲೂ I can have multiple data centers, correct?
Yes.
Combined all of that is Mumbai. ಆ ಮುಂಬೈಯಲ್ಲಿ this region is Mumbai. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನೊಂದು ನಂದೇ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ನ ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅದೇ ತರ ನಾನು ಟೋಕಿಯೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಂದೇ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ನ ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಈ ಟೋಕಿಯೋ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಒಂದು ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಇದೆ. EC2 ಇರ್ಬೋದು, RDS ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಏನೇ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಗೇನ್ ಐ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ವಿಶ್ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸಿಟ್ AWS, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಆನ್, ಐ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ವಿಶ್ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸಿಟ್ AWS ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಯರ್ ಒಂದು VPC ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು VPC ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಐ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್. ಈ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲೇ ನಾನು ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಡೂ ದೇರ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಆಫ್ AWS global network. This AWS global network networking, okay, we'll look at two main concepts. Okay, so here ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ VPC okay, assume this is one building and this is building A. Okay, this is building A. So similarly, you have something like building B. Okay, so you have building B. Okay, so illi, say for example, now this is all under one VPC. Okay, you know what VPC is already. VPC is nothing but, you know, this stuff. Okay, so nodi illi, assume this is my first house. I will have to talk to somebody in this house. Okay, if I have to go to one house, I mean in the same building, assume this building A has one security. He is responsible for this building and the other security is responsible for this building, correct? Okay,
Yes.
From here I'll have to talk to somebody here. See, now how can I go from here to here, talk to somebody? I'll have to exit my door, go to this person's door, right? I have to knock the door. Our door na ನಾವು knock ಮಾಡಿ, we'll have to take the permission, right? That is possible. But now if I have to talk to somebody from this house, ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಹೋಗಿ ಈ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಹೌಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರನ್ನಾರು ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, first I have to go cross the main door. This guy will know that I'm crossing this, right? Then I will go here, meet this security guy. I'll tell I have to go to this house, correct? So this guy will basically record, right? Who exited, who entered, like your watchman in the college or watchman in the office, they have a registry, correct? So idunna naven heltivi, network access control list. Who is, you know, exiting the network, entering the network, and where are they going? That registry is called network access control list, right? So you will control this access control list, right? But how can I protect my house? How can I make sure? ಈಗ assume ಈ ನನ್ನ ಮನೆಗೆ ಡೋರ್ ಇದೆ, that door has some digital lock. Either it's a fingerprint or a password or something like that. ನಾನೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಆ ಡಿಜಿಟಲ್ ಡೋರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಸ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ 453217. This password I will give to all of my family members. Hey, whenever you come, you use this code. I'll create some other code 09732 something like that. I'll give all of these to my friends, right? Then maybe the housemaid or somebody comes to my house. I'll create some password for them. I'll categorize. I'll group users who can access my apartment, right? And they can get to the door, they can enter this code and they can access my home. That is called security group. Simple, guys, understood?
Yes.
So this house is nothing but your server or any service that you launch within the VPC. ಆ ಸರ್ವಿಸಿಗೆ ಯಾರು ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು ಅದನ್ನ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್. ಓಕೆ, ಇದು ಈ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಇದು ಸಬ್ನೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸಬ್ನೆಟ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ಸ್ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಮಾಡೋದಲ್ವಾ ನಾವು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಡಿಡ್ ಹಿಯರ್, ರೈಟ್? ರೈಟ್. ಆ ಸಬ್ನೆಟ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ತರ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಕೊಡಬಹುದು, ಆ ಸಬ್ನೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಕೊಡಬಹುದು ಅನ್ನೋ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ನಾವು ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಗೈಸ್? Security group is like your door. Network access control list is nothing but your security guy. Okay. So this network access control list basically, okay, this network access control list is a guy who is protecting access to your subnet. This is your NACL, routing table illi. So you will basically define this stuff. Yakandre route agad illinda alva. So this connection will no longer be there. The connection will now happen through this route. I have put a slide very specifically talking about the differences between security group and network ACL. Okay, what are the differences for your theoretical purposes? Okay, so now let me go back here. Okay, so ಈಗ ನನಗೆ, say for example, we looked at almost all the possible components of AWS networking. Okay, one main thing that we have to look at is, we will do one thing. Okay, we will basically look at some of the practical elements. Okay, so see, again, what I will do is, logging into my instance. Okay. Somehow my authentication is failing. Why? Okay, finally I'm inside my AWS console. Okay, ನೋಡಿ, mainly ನಮಗೆ in AWS console, okay, if you go to services, these are all the different services, right? So you go to security. Okay, so there is security groups. Okay, so this is under network and security section. You have security groups. By default, again, when you create a VPC, see, like I said, right, since last year, AWS has made it very easy, but this is all important for your understanding. But working in practical stuff, you might not go ahead and configure all of this. ನೀವು practically work ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಇರೋದು ತುಂಬಾ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಬಟ್ ನೀವು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಡೂ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್. ಬಿಫೋರ್ 2022 March, you had to do all of this. It was really a pain. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಡೆವಲಪರ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ನಾನೊಂದು ಡೆವಾಪ್ಸ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ, why will I care about so much complexity in networking, right? But from today, after 4-5 years, when you all will become associate architects or senior architects, working in a capacity where somebody will come to you saying, hey, my business requirement is so and so. Can you convert this into technology and host my business into cloud? Anta helidaga, you will have to design a diagram like this as an architecture. This is a true job of a cloud architect. That is why all of this understanding is very important, because you just can't host a business and do a hairpin and create performance issues. You just can't host 2 VPCs and build everything, then assume, oh, how can I talk from this VPC to this VPC? That is why this understanding is very important. But after March last year, AWS has made it very easy. They've said, hold on, you don't worry about all of these things. When you create an account, I will give you a default VPC. Do you want to work on it? Work on it. If not, how do you create a VPC? Yesterday, we went through that session, nenne class alli, right? So now, going forward, under network and security, this is why you see this default security groups, because I created an account and AWS gave me default security groups, right? So these are those. But if I go to security groups, here, I'll create a security group. My AWS MicroDegree security group 1. Okay. Description, this is for AWS class, March 15th. Okay. Nodi illi VPC again, if you go here, it is picking up the VPC, which is, if I go to VPC here, this is ending with 53A alva. If 53A nan nodidre illi, this is the VPC, that is which one? Default VPC? Yes. Alva. It is pointing the default. I can use that. If I do not wish to use, I'm continuing from yesterday practicals, right? I can pick up my VPC that I created, right? So for now, I'll just go on with this default VPC. If not, you can also change here. Okay. Like this. Okay. I'll use the default one. ಈಗ ನನಗೆ ಈ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, see, when we do practicals, if some of you are going to extend the class to DevOps, this is where you will understand the importance of security group. Okay, but for now, I'll just explain this to you. Okay, illi what I will do is, what account is this? Okay, ನೋಡಿ, ಕರೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಅಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ? ಒಂದು ಸರ್ವಿಸಿಗೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು AWS ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲೌಡ್ ಸರ್ವರ್ ನ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಇವಾಗ ನನ್ನ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನನ್ನ ಟೀಮಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಜೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಒಂದು ಲಿನಕ್ಸ್ ಸರ್ವರ್ ನ ಡೆಲಿವರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಐಲ್ ಡೂ, ಐಲ್ ಗೋ ಟು ಲಾಂಚ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್, ಐಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ಇಟ್ ಅ ನೇಮ್. ಓಕೆ, ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಫಿನಿಕ್ಸ್ ಲಿನಕ್ಸ್ cloud server or Linux VM or Linux instance. These are all the different names that they use in the cloud world. Okay, so same, new market al hodre ivaga en martira, you will purchase one Dell laptop or IBM laptop or Lenovo laptop. ಆ ತರ ಇದೊಂದು ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೇಮ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಟು ಸಿಂಪ್ಲಿಫೈ, ಇದನ್ನ ಡೆಲ್ ಕ್ಲೌಡ್ VM ಅಂತಾನೆ ಕರೆಯೋಣ. ಆ ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಂಗೆ ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಬೇಕು. ನಾನು ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಇವಾಗ ಫೈನಲ್ ಇಯರ್ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಉಬುಂಟು ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. ಸೊ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಚೂಸ್. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಗೋ ಥ್ರೂ ಹಿಯರ್, ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ thousands of, not thousands, there are 47 operating systems commonly used. You can build your own operating system. Andre ಇದನ್ನ ತಗೊಂಡು ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ನೀವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ನಿಮ್ ಕಸ್ಟಮೈಸ್ಡ್ ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಂತಾನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ನಾವು ಕ್ಲೌಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನ AMI ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಅಮೆಜಾನ್ ಮಷೀನ್ ಇಮೇಜ್ ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೆಯಲ್ಲ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಗೈಸ್? ಸೊ ಅಗೇನ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್, ನಾನು ಅಮೆಜಾನ್ ಅವರೇ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಲಿನಕ್ಸ್ ನ ತಗೊಂತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಡಿವೈಸ್ ಗೆ ನೇಮ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ, ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ತಗೊಂಡೆ, ರೈಟ್? ದೆನ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಸೇಮ್. ನೀವು ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ, CPU ಏನಿದೆ, ಮೆಮರಿ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ. ಅದೇ ತರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ಫಿಗರೇಷನ್ಸ್, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕನ್ಫಿಗರೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಸರ್ವರ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ನೋಡಿ, ಪ್ರತಿ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಟೈಪ್ಗೂ ಕನ್ಫಿಗರೇಷನ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ನನಗೆ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಇವರು ಇದನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಐ ಯೂಸ್ ದಟ್. ಕೀಪೇರ್, ಆ ಸರ್ವರ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಕ್ರೆಡೆನ್ಶಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಲಾಗಿನ್ ಆಗಕ್ಕೆ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಸಮ್ ಕ್ರೆಡೆನ್ಶಿಯಲ್ಸ್. I've already created some credentials. Okay, I know why this problem. This is because I'm using a different account. Hold on. So when I go log back in, this is picking up some other account. That is fine. Just 1 second, guys. Just 1 second. I already created a good security group, and that will become a good example if I demonstrate that to you guys. So I'm just trying to pick up that account. I have multiple AWS accounts. So this is something that I created the other day to demonstrate stuff to you guys. But I also have MD. I'm just trying to authenticate. That's why I've just blocked my screen. So bear with me, okay? Okay, I guess I got access to my stuff that I was working on. Okay. Illi ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇವಾಗ if I try to launch an EC2 instances running ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ there is nothing actually. Okay, I guess again logged into the same stuff, but never mind. MD, what is this account? Okay, guys, that's fine. Reload. Okay, so I was just saying, right, illi nan instances hodre, if I remove this, okay, somehow I had to figure out now my other account, but that is fine. Let us finish this. Okay, nodi illi one server launch marta, like I said, we bought one server from the market, we picked up an operating system. Instance type, I just explained what it is. I have to create a key. Basically, I'll create a key pair. I'll name this as AWS class key. I'll create a key pair. Okay. Basically, this is the key. And network settings. Heldalva nodi VPC by default VPC togondide. If not, yesterday class alli navu yatara VPC madidvi, we can create a separate VPC. Subnet kuda we can select, if I have a specific preference, I can select that subnet, or I can create a new subnet altogether. IP address na assign ಮಾಡಿ automatic ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. Security group. See, this is where security groups comes into picture. Okay. So create a security group. It will be creating with this name, or select an existing one. Do I have any existing security one? Yes. For default VPC, I'll already on security group ಇದೆ. But what I will do is I'll say create a new one. Okay. So AWS MicroDegree security group 1. Okay. Illi ಈ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಏನೋ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಅದು ನೇಮ್ ಇಂದ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೆ. ಅದು ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಐ ಶೋ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಎಂಡ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ನೋಡಿ ಕರೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಇದು, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಟು SSH. ಪೋರ್ಟ್ 22 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ರೆಡಿ ಇದೆ. and there is another stuff also, right? So what I'll do now, this is all hardware configuration. Yes, to server launch one. I just need one. You can do multiple also at the same time. Okay. So launch instance. So ನಾನು ಇವಾಗ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲೌಡ್ ಸರ್ವರ್ ನ ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಈ ಕ್ಲೌಡ್ ಸರ್ವರ್ ನಂದು ಇವಾಗ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಸೊ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಲಿ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಬ್ರಿಂಗಿಂಗ್ ಅ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಸರ್ವರ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್, ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಕನ್ಫಿಗರೇಷನ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗೋಯ್ತು. ಇನ್ನು ಲಾಂಚ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ. ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಕ್ಲೌಡ್ ಸರ್ವರ್, ಅದ್ರ ಐಡಿ ಇದು ಅಂಡ್ ಹೋಸ್ಟ್ ನೇಮ್ ಇದೆ, IPv4 ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಈ IP ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಅಸೈನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ. ಈಗ ರನ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ. ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ IP ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಇದು ಇದ್ರದ್ದು. ಅಂಡ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಟೈಪ್ VPC ID ಇದೆ. ಈ ಸಬ್ನೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ನನ್ನ ಸರ್ವರ್. ಇವಾಗ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ IP ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಇದು, ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ IP ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್, DNS ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಲುಕಿಂಗ್ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಸೋ ಫಾರ್. ಯಾವುದೇ ಎಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ IP ನಾನು ಇನ್ನೂ ಅಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ comes with a cost. This is all the details about my instance. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಕಂಪೇರ್ ದಿಸ್ ವಿತ್ ದಿ ಡ್ರಾಯಿಂಗ್. ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ದೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್? ಈ G ಅನ್ನೋ ಸರ್ವರ್ ನಾನೀಗ ಕರೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ದಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆ ಸರ್ವರಿಗೆ ಅಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಲ್ವಾ. ಐ ಮೀನ್ ಇಟ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ಸ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸರ್ವರ್. ಸೊ ಮೈ ಸರ್ವರ್ ಇಸ್ G is here, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಈಗ ಈ ಜಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಏನೇನ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೋಡಿ, ನನ್ನ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಐ ಓಪನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್. ನೇಮ್ ಇದೆ, ID ಇದೆ, ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ, ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್ VPC, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫೈನ್. ಓನರ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಗೈ. ಒಂದೇ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಇದೆ, ಇನ್ಬೌಂಡ್ ರೂಲ್ಸ್. ಯಾರು ಈ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬರಬಹುದು, ವಿಚ್ ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹೌ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಸಿ ಹಿಯರ್, ದಿ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಇನ್ಬೌಂಡ್ ರೂಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಹೂ ಕೆನ್ SSH, ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ಇಂದ ಕನ್ಸೋಲ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿ SSH ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸರ್ವರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ನನಗೆ ಐ ನೀಡ್ ಸಮ್ ಅದರ್ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಸೇ these are all the different protocols. Again, you have to go back to networking class. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಲ್ವಾ ಯಾವ ಪ್ರೋಟೋಕಾಲ್ ಏನ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ. TCP, UDP, various protocols. SMTP is used for emails. Internet access ige HTTP, right? Why? Because CRIGBus. How is CRIGBus running? HTTPS. It is secured. If it is not secured, there is also something called HTTP, right? You know the difference. But ನನಗೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾವುದೇ ಪ್ರೋಟೋಕಾಲ್ ಇರಲಿ, I don't care. I need all traffic. Anywhere, any IPv4, or I can specify custom, right? I can specify that, okay, allow traffic to that specific server which I just created only from the security group which is under default security group. ಈ ತರ just 00 ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ what will happen? ನೋಡಿ, ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಆಲ್ ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ 00 ಅಂತ. ಈಗ EC2 ಹೋಗಿ ಆ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೌ ಯು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿ IP ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿ ಮಷೀನ್. ಸೊ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಇವಾಗ, ಇಫ್ ಐ ಓಪನ್ ಮೈ ಕೋಡ್ ಎಡಿಟರ್, I use Visual Studio Code to do all my work, right? So I'll just bring that in a minute here. Okay. So see, this is my editor, right? Editor alli I'll basically click on terminal, which will open a new terminal. As I use a MacBook, it will also give a default terminal. Okay. So illen martini. Okay. One second. I'm just gaining access. Okay. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಆಗ್ಲೇ ಒಂದು ಕೀ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ. ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಕೀ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ? ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಎಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ನೋಡಿ, ನಾನು ಎಂಟರ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಎಸ್, and I gained access. So again, gaining access, I had to do another additional step. ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ I had to give permission to this key, change permission. This is a Linux stuff, right? But all in all, what I'm saying is, ಈಗ ಈ IP address ಏನಿದೆ ಈ ಸರ್ವರ್ದು, ಈ ಸರ್ವರ್ IP address ನಾನು ಪಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು, if I just put it here, the site cannot be reached because there is nothing running on there. If I install some application or something, you can directly launch it and you can run that stuff, right? It can be directly accessed by anybody. So like this, security group is where you control who can gain access through which protocol, which service, and they can access that service which is residing inside your AWS network, inside a specific VPC, inside a specific subnet, whatever service you have. That is how you create access. Okay. When we do EC2, when we go through the training program using different services, you will understand how we create these services. Web service ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ವೆಬ್ ಸರ್ವರ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, application server ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ. There are different applications like Jenkins ಅಂತ ಒಂದು application ಇದೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ we use port 8080, things like these. Okay, so that's pretty much about the networking services, guys. Everything to do with networking services. Okay, so there is another thing called transit gateway. Transit gateway is something that we use between different setups. If you want to idonthara setup idu setup idre, there is a concept called transit gateway that we will look at maybe in the next class. And before we end here, okay, IP addresses, right? One important topic like IP addresses. Nodi, ಈಗ IP address ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿರ್ತೀರಾ, 172.18.30.40 or something, like it will be 4 parts, right? So see, we humans understand what? We humans understand numbers, 0, 1, 2. How do we count money? 10 rupees, 100 rupees. It's all numbers, right? How much marks did you get? 65, 35. It is all about numbers, right? We humans use decimal numbering system. Decimal numbering system andre eno? 0 to 9. All that we can calculate is on 10 fingers.
Yes.
That is how we humans started using decimal number system. Okay, 0 to 9. So go on YouTube and read about this. This is the evolution of numbering system, decimal numbering system, right? ಮುಂಚೆ ಎಲ್ಲ, I mean, ರಾಜರ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಕೌಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಏನೇ any calculation, it was all on fingers. That is how you ended up with 0 to 9. Okay, clear?
Okay.
Computers ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, what is computer? It's an electronic device, correct?
Yes.
Any electronic component will only understand, ಈಗ ನಿಮಗೆ or electrical component, right? ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಿಚ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಸ್ವಿಚ್ ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ?
ಎರಡೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
On, off, right?
Yes.
You pick up any electronic component, it is the same logic. It is 0 and 1. Okay, so bit anta en kariತೀವಿ. A bit can have 2 possible values, either it's 0 or 1. Computers use binary numbering system for the same purpose. Okay, it can be 0 or it can be 1. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಏನ್ IP address ಅನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, right? An IP address is nothing but 8 bits for you. 8 bit is 1 octet. You'll basically have 4 separations in that. Each can have a value of 0 if everything is 0, because in one box you can fit only 0 or 1, correct?
Yes.
So if you put all zeros, what will happen?
0.
If you put all ones and you take the numbering system, 1, 2, 2 to the power of 0, 2 to the power of 1, correct? It can go until 2 to the power of 7, correct?
Yes.
So if you combine all of this, what can it become? If it is all 1, it is 255, correct? So, and highest value is 0. I mean, lowest value is 0. The highest value is 255. So now if you see, this is your IP address. Any computer, when I say computer, it can be a laptop, it can be a computer, it can be a mobile, it can be a tab. anything that can connect to the internet or has to connect to internet is identified in the internet through an IP address. An IP address is basically 32-bit, which is split into 4 parts of 8-bit. And each bit is what? I mean, each 8-bit is what? It can be anywhere between 0 to 255, correct? Clear so far?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ಈ IP ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ನ ಯಾವ ತರ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, CIDR ಅನ್ನೋ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. And there are some 2-3 additional topics, but I will start from there. Today, I guess we have had a very overwhelming discussion about the entire networking architecture. So I just don't want to confuse you guys with something new that is like an IP address subject. That is something that we will pick up in the next class. Okay. So now I have exactly 2 minutes before I have to start a new call. In these 2 minutes, I'll go through all the questions that are in the Zoom chat. SSH full form. Okay, somebody answered. Thank you. Anyone tell full form of ISP, internet service provider? Good. I see each one of you helping each other. By using VPC endpoints, we can connect to other services. There is no other endpoint or gateway to connect faster than VPC endpoints. Correct. SSH full form. Done. Any other questions? Any other doubts? Anybody on the call? And that's about it, guys. Nice talking to you all. Have a nice evening. Take rest well. Okay, guys. I'll